All right, I think we're live. YouTube, hello.
Awesome. Hey, you too.
Let me double check, and then I'll hit record.
Oh, I got the notification. Yep.
Oh, nice. You love to see it. YouTube, hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for being here.
Oh, let me not record over my existing recording. All right, we're going to get rid of that.
All right.
And I think I'm in. I'm in.
All right.
How was my recording, by the way, last week?
It was great. Yeah.
Good. Wow. Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
Excellent. Love that. Love to hear it.
Yep. All right, I'm good on my side. If you're good, I'll get it started.
Yep.
All right,
Should
sweet.
be good.
Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Listeners, viewers, it's good. Thanks for being here.
People who just stumbled upon us for some reason.
Right. Yeah,
SEO,
exactly.
people who came, thank you.
Yeah.
For Googling whatever combination
Googlers.
of words. Googlers.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Johnny's dead. He's not here. He's dead.
I think for the first time we announced that last week.
Yeah, that's true.
most
We
of
had
the
a
time we've
pre-announced
announced we've had a
death. Yeah. Yeah. Which that could be troublesome but
Don't
he's
think about
dead.
it. Please don't think about it. It's
Yeah.
okay.
He's dead.
He wouldn't want. Well, actually, no. He would want you to over process it.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would. But Josh and I, we've got you covered here today. We're holding the fort down, so we hope you're doing well. A little bit of everything happening in sports right now, so we'll just kind of be bouncing around today, covering a variety of different topics. And honestly, when Johnny isn't here to give strong sports takes, sometimes what you're left with is just bad food takes. But Johnny's not here to yell about it. So the ocean can be soup today, and there's no
Ocean is
pushback.
soup today.
Everything can be a sandwich or nothing, like whatever. It's whatever. So that's what's in store. But first, before we get to all that, Josh, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing all right. I got to see nothing but highlights of the NBA All-Star game.
Ah,
So I think I saw 30 seconds of maybe one Draymond Green joke. And apparently Mr. Beast spent like way too much time filming a video for his own YouTube channel like while they were live. So that was fun for me to see on TikTok the day after.
yeah. Did you watch anything last night, or like did you watch anything in place of the All-Star game, or were you just like doing work or what?
No,
Okay.
I went to here's the thing, because I woke up and I was like, oh, I should have watched like Real Things, because then I would have had something to talk about on the podcast.
You can do whatever you want.
No, I went to a 3-hour concert last 2 nights ago.
Great.
And it was great. When I say 3 hours, it was one of those bands that it's music for musicians, in that it's not listenable outside of that. But I had a great time.
Lovely. Well, good.
Just a bunch of old white guys doing like 30-minute solos.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now, I have to ask, because you said 3 hours, and that is a specific time period. Were there 80 minutes of ads in your 3-hour concert?
Wow. And thank you so much for bringing that up.
Unrelated to anything, by the way.
Absolutely. And I'm okay to say this on air, just since I know we're going to be talking about prices and relative value. I think I've spent $60 on the ticket before fees and everything.
Okay.
No opener act. There was a 15-minute intermission in
Okay.
between. And it was otherwise about 2 hours and 50 minutes, maybe 2.5, 2 hours, 45 minutes, depending on how you want to count that intermission.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, but to answer your question shortly, no, there was no, like, they didn't stop the song halfway through and go, thank you, this song is brought to you by Squarespace or Starry. Sierra Mist.
Now, that dead. Sierra Mist, dead. Like Johnny.
Same
Starry now.
recipe. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And yeah, obviously I ask, it's totally unrelated. You didn't have a 30-minute intro with ads. You didn't have 10 minutes of pregame talk. You didn't have a Mr. Beast challenge. You didn't have an Inside the
didn't
NBA
spend, like,
tribute that took
15
9
minutes
minutes long.
Announcing that the concert was going to move to a new venue, and kind of like memorializing the current venue, even though
Right.
like we weren't going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that your concert went well.
So in short, I think my weekend was subpar.
Hmm.
Had just because I didn't get to enjoy all of the highlights of NBA
The highlight
All-Star.
of yeah, right. I too did. I'll be honest. I did not watch that event either. I did watch. Well,
Was it because it was blocked
I
out in
sort
your
of watched the
area?
3-point competition. I sort of watched the dunk contest. I watched SNL's 50-year anniversary last night.
Oh, nice.
And that was probably a preferable watching experience. And look, this whole conversation is making me sound like an NBA hater. Let me just be upfront. I am not an NBA hater at all.
No.
And if you've listened to this show, we've dived deep into some of these trades that have happened. We talk about the NBA quite a bit on this show. Regardless, the product of the All-Star game is pretty bad by all. Everyone thinks that, the players included. Draymond Green's up there saying, "Yeah, this stinks." So that's a problem. There are people, chronically online people, mind you, which we listen, we hear what they have to say more as an amusement factor than as an opinion we should take to heart. But there are some chronically online people today that are like, "Wow, this is a new low for the NBA. This is terrible." You know what? I don't think anyone cares. Like, I don't think anyone cares about what happened, like the product of the All-Star game. Like, I think everyone acknowledges it's bad, but these people that are like, "Well, this is terrible," like, and it's not good. I wasn't expecting it to be good. But people that are like, "Oh, this is the death of the NBA, and LeBron pulls out of this game with less than 24 hours, and this is terrible." You know, if more people were excited for this All-Star game going into it, I might be a little bit more concerned. But no one was excited going into it, and so expectations were met. Like, it was a pretty mid thing, and everyone was expecting that. So to me, it's like, all right, well, yeah.
It didn't do worse.
No, I don't think
That's
so.
something.
Yeah, I don't think so. So it's. Oh, let me ask you this: like, is there a point to have an All-Star game anymore? Like the NFL's basically said, like, yeah, there's not really a point to having the Pro Bowl. We'll have some fun activities, like, and you can see all these like fun people. But like, is there even a point to have this anymore? Like, I don't know.
That's a good question. And again, as someone who has not watched a single NBA All-Star game through, like, take whatever I'm about to say with a grain of salt.
Sure.
Please. I would say you're probably out of carrots to give, so to speak.
Yeah.
When it comes to incentivizing players to do this. We had a very similar situation at my old job. It wasn't like a chapel all-star day, but it was. No, I can assure you. But the overall vibe of trying to convince like current seminary students to attend our weekly chapels, we had anywhere from 2 to 4 a week from 11 to noon. The issue became, we can only make this product so good, in quotes. At some point, do you want to cross the line and make a bunch of 35-year-olds, with families and a job and lots of grad school work, take an hour out of their day to either drive into Dallas or stop what they're doing and live stream it and pull out the sticks, so to speak? At some point, you have to go. There's a diminishing return here.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the NBA All-Star game, if they can find a happy medium where there is a, hey, it's clear they're not going to, in this current season, and I'm not just talking about the season, I'm talking about like the era.
Right.
The era.
Right.
You're not going to be able to entice them any more than you already are. There might be little ways. I mean, it seems like from what I was seeing, the switching up of the All-Star game format seemed to bring out a little bit better results from the players. So there's little things you can do, but the large thing of, if the NBA wants this to be a day that matters in whatever way they deem that word to mean, they're going to have to crack down on a bunch of multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening realistically. So I see them going the NFL Pro Bowl route of like, nobody cares about it, but let's
Let's celebrate these
Let's
players
celebrate.
that have achieved this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Is hockey going to be, and like hockey and football, there's always going to be differences in these things. So it can't be a one-to-one.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this later.
Yep.
The so-called like our four nations facing off experience so far has been the opposite. Hockey has been,
oh, it's been
frankly,
unbelievable.
probably a little better.
It's been so good.
And we'll get into that later.
Yep.
But like, it's not going to be a one-to-one. That's how hockey players in this current era are seeing things, given also other things that have happened in the past few weeks that have prompted some fun fights. But yeah, overall, I don't think there's much more the NBA can do if they still want the slots for people to watch. Sure. Maybe
and I'm
make it just a Kevin Hart and Mr. Beast
boy.
stand-up special.
Right.
But
That's pretty much what it
otherwise-
was anyways. Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to make it not matter, but still make it fun, there's ways to do that. But I think the deeper concern that we've talked about, and I've seen other people talk about, is that the NBA has focused more on more of the corporatized way of bringing in money. And they're appealing to a demographic that may not be enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious what the viewership will be from this event. I would think it's not going to be super good. Again, I don't think people expected it to be.
No. Well, that's the thing. I think I was listening to Pardon My Take today, and one of the hosts had a good point. He's like, I'm not trying to be an automatic like NBA defender or they've done nothing wrong. But he's like, when was the last time you like set your schedule aside, minus like a championship game? When was the last time you set your schedule aside to watch even a TV show?
Yeah.
And it's almost a trick question because for the most part, most of us have streaming services, and if it's not a live event that I need to watch, like the last time I really did that was probably Olympics outside of championship games and my own personal teams I'm invested in watching. If I just wanted to sit down and watch an event, yeah, it was Olympics. And past that, I think it was probably the Winter Olympics. Like, there's not a ton of things I'm sitting down and going, oh my gosh, I need to see Survivor when it comes out at whatever time it comes out.
Right.
No snarks in them, but that's just not how we're doing things. And so there's a chance that the NBA could lead into that. How? I don't know. I'm just a guy who doesn't even watch the show. So,
well, you're not the only one.
But
There's a lot of people in that boat.
Yeah, the expectations are so different. Yeah.
Yep. Well, right. The expectations are super different. And I'm with you. I think what you said, like, how else are you going to motivate players to try? Like, maybe the NBA is wishing that like two of the up and coming rookies like ball out and are like going super aggressive on defense, and it prompts like everyone else to do it. I'm telling you right now, that is not going to happen. That it hasn't happened yet. I mean, we've had this kind of relaxed attitude towards this All-Star game. This goes back a long ways. This is not just like today's problem. This has been a thing for a while. And every year we have this conversation, and then every year we kind of forget about it maybe until, I mean, heck, President Obama at one point was saying like, hey, this All-Star game stinks. That was a long time ago. And we're still here. So, and the NBA's tried different formats, to your point. They've tried different things. We're still here. I will say this too. For whatever reason, I think the NBA has maybe the most championship or bust mentality in terms of how we view players. Like right now, if I talk about Peyton Manning, like, is the first thing that come to people's minds like, oh yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls? Maybe it is. I don't know. Like, to me, not as much as when someone brings up LeBron and you think of the number of NBA finals he won versus like Michael Jordan. You think you get into this title debate. And maybe it's because we've had like the same string of dominance in the NFL with Tom Brady and then Patrick Mahomes. And so like there hasn't really been room for that conversation outside of those two. I don't know. But I do think like everyone talks about in the NBA, how many rings do you have? Like, and you don't get that conversation in Major League Baseball a ton, or nearly as much. I don't think you don't get it in hockey as much. It is definitely more of a player-centric thing in the NBA. So part of me wonders if that attitude we have for the championship, it's like, well, if it's not the NBA finals, then like you said, Josh, like I don't care. And that, I mean, yeah, just might be the reality.
And that's reasonable, given the expectations of the NBA and how its players are functioning. That makes, I mean, that makes sense. It just means
Yeah.
short of resurrecting Wilt.
Right.
It's not like you're really gonna. I mean, bring the Globetrotters in.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
See,
The only idea I've seen so far, and I don't think the NBA Players Association would ever agree to it, but the only thing I think that could resurrect some competitiveness in this, like true competitiveness, is if you did a Team USA versus the world. That's the only, and basically you try to four nations this thing. That's the only thing I could see, but I don't know. I don't know if that would work.
I mean, didn't they kind of do that? Let me look up the current, like what the teams were this past.
Yeah, they've
almost,
done
like,
it with
faked that a little bit.
They did it in the Rising Stars Challenge for a few years, where they had USA versus the world. I don't know. That would be intriguing because, like, obviously the Summer Olympics with basketball was unbelievable, and the world is getting better and better. Especially in the NBA, there's more representation from non-Americans than ever before, which is great for the game. I mean, it's becoming global. That is
absolutely
nothing but good. That's the only thing I could think of. But anyways, yeah, NBA fans and just people that like to hate, not happy with the All-Star game. My take on this is who cares? Like, yes, it's a conversation. We can talk about it. Like, I get it. There's some
not a moral crisis.
No, the NBA is fine. This is not spelling the like. Okay. We just got done with the craziest NBA trade deadline like maybe ever, and that's how you know like the NBA is so drama filled. Like the highs are super high, the lows are super low. This is just another dramatic thing for the NBA. I'm not saying all press is good press, but like, come on, man. Like we're about to get back to Luka and the Lakers and see how this works and all this kind of stuff.
It was we're gonna go right back into that. We're gonna go right back into the Mavs having nobody who's healthy. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh boy.
I'm not gonna talk about it. The NBA dominated for like three to 5 days of Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
Now again, part of that was there wasn't a ton of extra press on Eagles Chiefs, but still, regardless, it was the NBA owns Super Bowl week. They're doing okay. At the very least, people are talking. It's not my job to translate that into viewership, but hey.
Yep. People are watching the product. It may not show up in the Nielsen ratings or whatever outdated probably thing we're using.
Yeah.
But
I got to go set up my cable box real quick.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I am curious, and also there are so many people streaming this stuff illegally that's not getting factored into the count. So anyways, that's neither here nor there. Speaking of things that are illegal, how about we throw some people in jail?
They put you in jail right away. No trial, no nothing. Right to jail, right away.
There's a lot of empty rooms in our jail, Josh.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
And I want to kick us off since I've just made the joke about I made the joke about the cable boxes, and I went, well, actually, and then I saw on the notes that you would put this up as a potential. I will go ahead and make the ruling. We are going to send YouTube TV to jail.
Yes. And Paramount, the whole thing.
And Paramount, the whole thing.
Yep.
One, and this has been existing. The price for YouTube TV has about doubled in the past decade.
Yeah.
And they've not added any substantial content. They've added features. Not going to deny that. But what was $40 a month when it launched? I mean, it launched when we were in college, and it was this glorious thing where we could suddenly watch, depending on how many people had it, up to 8 or 9 games at the same time. It was glorious for a bunch of college guys.
Yep.
And I used it for all of the college football season. It was fantastic, and I love it for that, truly.
Yep.
And now it's like $83 a month. And that was a few weeks ago. And I think we may have lightly touched on it, if at all. We got frustrated. We probably should have thrown them in jail, but we were just feeling happy and chipper because we were using YouTube TV to watch the Buckeyes burn for the championship. And then, just a few days ago, YouTube TV and Paramount have this weird contractual fighting. I don't understand it because I don't have an MBA. But right now, as it stands, YouTube TV is not carrying anything that's distributed by Paramount. Now, you might be going, oh, when was the last time I watched anything with Paramount? Shut up, you're dumb. Aaron, you can tell me what is happening pretty soon, pretty darn soon, the Paramount covers.
Yeah, maybe
carries.
March Madness.
You ever heard of it?
Yeah, well, just CBS technically. So you would get TBS, TNT, true. Right now, as of this recording, it's back, but they have some like temporary short-term deal that has gone through. So, I mean, I had it on yesterday watching Ohio State lose to Michigan in basketball, so I'm thoroughly depressed. So thanks, YouTube TV.
Great.
You stink. And then the moment you do bring it back, I have to sit through and watch that. So thanks for nothing. But Josh, you're right. The price has gone through the roof. More so than just the cost of inflation, mind you.
Oh no, it
and
is.
we have lessened the number of channels that we have. There is no NHL network. There is no MLB network. What did we lose recently that was like a kind of a big deal? I don't even know.
Yeah, there was something. It was like
Yeah.
back in the fall, and it was like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, I know that. I think the ESPN channels went away like right at the beginning of college football.
Yeah,
for some
because Disney
people,
now
like that
has-
was
yeah.
Oh,
you have
gosh.
to use ESPN Plus through
Yep.
your Disney accounts.
Yep.
And it's not. You still have. It's not. There's no. There was still like no overlap.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there were certain games where you had to get a third service in order to watch certain games.
Yeah, yeah. It's absurd. We've gone through the numbers before. Like the NFL is certainly not immune to this. The ridiculous number that they like. You talk about YouTube TV and prices. The price of a Sunday ticket is insane, and people pay for it because it's the NFL, and the NFL can kind of just do what they want with very little repercussions in terms of their fan base. But yeah, it's crazy. So that's happening. So hopefully they get something, officially figured out before
Yeah.
March Madness really happens. So
To be
that's
gracious, sometimes,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, a lot of times these channel disputes are not necessarily the network's fault. So in this case, it wouldn't necessarily be Paramount's fault. It could be YouTube TV's fault. No,
Yeah.
sorry, reverse that.
well, it could be either way. honestly.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'm not feeling gracious. Both to jail.
Both, yeah. Figure it out. You guys are both in timeout.
Figure it out.
The other one I was thinking that I just remembered, the regional networks. Like I cannot watch
Oh, yes.
the Blue Jackets, Reds, Cavs, anyone in that are streaming on those channels. So thanks YouTube TV. You guys, so like it's funny you stink, but somehow you still are probably the best product out there for people like me who are trying to watch, who watch a bunch of
Oh, yeah.
games from all different kinds of leagues.
As soon as Comcast or DirecTV bring out some sort of quad view and
Mm-hmm.
are able to work around any sort of regional things like that, we're all going back to cable.
Yeah. Yeah.
My place is getting hooked up. My apartment's getting hooked up with fiber as we speak.
Oh, nice.
There's a good chance that for a similar price, depending on how they want to do things here in the tech capital of the world,
Mm-hmm.
where I still can't get service, we could have a lot of better options once the streamers. I mean, the streaming service is just dead. It feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. Everything's so expensive. So I am hopeful that there is some company that is just not incredibly greedy, which I realize that's basically every company. So I don't know who I'm really talking about here, but I hope it happens just for sports fans. I know DirecTV was coming out with some package for sports fans, but it was still like $70 a month. It didn't include CBS, I don't think. So it's like, well, that's like, imagine approaching a sports fan and being like, hey guys, we got this great package for you. You guys don't care about March Madness, right? Okay, good. Or the Super Bowl in like 2 years. Oh, good. Or football really every Sunday. Oh, good. Okay, here you go. $70 a month, please.
You can watch all the ESPNU you want.
Which I love me some
Which, thank
ESPNU, but right. Yeah. Yeah, so you guys are in jail. Josh, I've got one that I did not write in the show notes, but I need your help on this because I feel like you're a highly educated man and you can help maybe explain why this thing is the case. So this is mostly a thing. This is the thing that bothers me. So maybe this isn't jail. This is just a beef I have. This is a gripe I want to offer. I see this all the time in European soccer where they'll say, for example, I don't know, Manchester United's kind of down right now, but let's say, Man U are the champions. And I'm like, wait a minute. Manchester United are the champions? No, Manchester United is the champions. That is a singular team is the champions. Now, look, if you're in Europe, it's their thing. They can say whatever grammar they want. Maybe that's appropriate for Europe. But I'm seeing it infiltrate American sports. Like if let's say the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, we'll do the Cavs for Johnny, even though he's dead. If I see at the end of this, like the Cavs win the finals and someone and the post from ESPN or whoever is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, actually, okay, hang on. Because in that situation, Cavaliers is plural, so that makes sense. It would be saying Cleveland are the champions. No, it's Cleveland is the champions. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the champions. Am I crazy for this should be the way it is?
It's funny you brought that up because I do actually have a cool grammar book here.
Oh, thank goodness.
A nice German grammar. And it does. There is like in European linguistics, there is like an allowance for this, and it is if you are stupid and have no understanding of things.
All right, good.
It's just a little bit more succinctly in German, but because no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
the Cavs are
plural.
But Manchester United, the club,
is
yes. The club is the champion.
Yeah.
And if you were to say the Cleveland's basketball team is.
Yeah,
this
one
R
team.
is dumb. It reminds me,
Yes.
Hey, I don't want you to be too down on yourself. You're also an educated man. We both have master's degrees in front of our titles. Great.
Yeah, that's exactly how I introduce myself. Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Master Aaron.
Oh, boy. That's not problematic.
It's not. Future Aaron, do whatever you need to do with this edit. You ever read like an old book in English?
I try not to read, but yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Or maybe your wife brings you a book and has you, skim it real quick. And when I say old, I don't know what I mean when I say this, but there are times where I will see future Aaron, you're going to have to edit this too, because I had my bit. There's this thing where in some older books, they'll throw "an" in front of a word that has like a consonant in front of it. And I was always told, because I took grammar, "an" is used before a word opening with a vowel, "a" opening with a consonant. And there are times, I will see so many times, "an history of XYZ."
Oh. And
it's not today.
Right.
It's older.
Yeah.
But I still hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm anti-book burning, except when you title your book "and history of the Peloponnesian War" or something.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's awful. But it reminds me of that, where it's like probably some dumb European thing, probably the reason the Americans left.
And again, if we're talking about a European soccer league, you guys can do whatever you want. I'm not going to judge. But if I see it infiltrate American sports, and here's the thing, I see it and I don't see anyone ever comment about it. So I'm thinking am I crazy? Am I the only one that's annoyed by this?
It's this. I feel like it's just an enamoration. Sure, I don't know. We both got master's degrees. That's the word.
Yep.
This fascination with something that is from a different culture, because we've seen this infiltrate the MLS a little bit. Some of the newer teams that have been started, even our own Columbus Crew, have been Europeanized, so to speak, with hey, we're not calling it that, but Columbus FC or St. Louis City. There's these European naming conventions. And I'm wondering, in all reality, if it's coming from there. I will also say, as someone who is on the internet, people are very easily persuaded to think that if something is not from here, it is automatically better. You've seen that meme of place, normal face, place, comma, Japan. Everyone's, I feel like it's the same thing. Soccer, nothing. Soccer / European. Oh my gosh. So.
Yeah, none of
this justifies. We're still sending every American who tries this to jail.
That's right. That's what I was trying to figure out. I'm okay, I'm frustrated by this. How do we deal with this? You're right. That's what we do. So if just to clarify,
there's no free speech in this podcast. We don't have a First Amendment here.
Right. Yeah, this is our own little world that you, listener, have decided, probably against other people's advice, to enter.
Yes, truly.
And here we are. So again, just as a reminder, so I'm trying to think what the next championship would be. Well, you know what, a great one. Let's say, I hope not, but let's say Canada wins the Four Nations on Thursday.
Sure.
It is not Canada are the champions. It is Canada is the champions. Now, it gets a little funky with the United States because that's plural, but it's also singular. That one gets a little funky, so I'm good either way. United States is the champion. United States are the champion. Even that one I would say is probably is because we're talking about a single team. But that one I let pass because I get it. That's funky. But again, same thing. If it would be Sweden or Finland, it would be Sweden which they're not winning it because they can't. Sweden is the. Anyways, all right. You get the picture. So if you see it, listeners, viewers, help me out. Comment below. Put a little asterisk and say is. Thank you.
They're sent to jail. And they are made to listen to this podcast over and over again.
Oh.
Just this episode.
Yeah.
Just this episode.
That's the real crime. Hey, Josh, you think this show's good? Let's do something that will make it even worse. Let's talk about a visual medium called college basketball jerseys.
I was looking at that note and I'm like, hey, if he wants to take a visual joke and put it on an audio medium, go ahead.
All right. Texas A&M unveiled the worst college basketball uniform I have ever seen with my eyes. And there's been some bad ones. Adidas, I'm looking at you. In 2013, I don't know if you remember this, Josh, they had the sleeved but also camo but also neon jerseys. That's back in 2013. So you had like Louisville, UCLA, Cincinnati's might have been the worst offender of these. Notre Dame, Baylor, Kansas, all that. Those were pretty terrible. In 2015, you had...
Ew.
Yeah, uh-huh. In 2015, Adidas did the thing where they put like, I don't know why, but like stripes around the top of the shorts for basketball teams, which just made it emphasize the rear of a player. It was weird. So that was 2015. We made it. We had a good little run where Adidas didn't do anything terrible, and now here we are in 2025 with Texas A&M. With the worst uniform I maybe have ever seen in college basketball. YouTube, I apologize, I don't have a picture ready, but just look it up. Texas A&M new basketball jerseys. They're not like new, they are new, but they're not like their normal uniforms they're wearing. But just to describe it for you listeners, the T, and it's the most nondescript T you've ever seen, like roughly times New Roman, I think. Mm-hmm. In the top left of the jersey, not centered, top left, with the jersey number located in the bottom right. And it's a kind of cream, which makes, usually I'm a fan of like cream basketball jerseys, like the Milwaukee Bucks had at one point had like some nice alternates. That's not this. This is like you ran it through the laundry with your black socks on accident. And anyways, it's terrible. So that's a great description of a visual picture on an audio medium, but that's going to jail too. Texas A&M, because you guys signed up for this, but Adidas also jail.
I would say, yeah. And you as a listener are benefiting from this not being a video podcast.
That's a good point, Josh.
You are better for not having seen this jersey because I'm looking at the side profile now, and there's like this weird Maryland style.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Maryland, catching us stray. You have all of this weird, like, checked and multicolored.
Well, it's their flag, probably, right? Because that's what they do to everything.
Their flag?
Yeah, it's kind of their flag design, roughly.
Hate.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not.
Now, if you are looking for an example of what to do for a uniform,
have the SEC logo in a different spot than the Adidas logo, which is in a different spot from the T, which is honestly looks exactly like the T on the mug I got you.
Yeah, it does.
Which is in a different spot than the than the number of the player. Like it is. Mm-hmm. This is my first Photoshop job looking.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Listener, please don't look this up. I'm getting angry again looking at it, and I.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor.
I saw this like 6 days ago, and I'm still angry.
Yeah. Now, if you want to know what to do for a college uniform, I am happy. It's been a while since we've given a straight out of jail free card, but I'm giving one to every single person who designed the Northern Arizona alternate uniforms. For a game, they're going to temporarily rebrand, which is something minor league baseball teams do it here and there, as the Northern Arizona Astro Jacks. So it's a moniker that points out the region's deep ties to space research. These uniforms are so good. Great colors. Northern Arizona already has a great color scheme, but they threw in some light blue. There's some unique striping on the shorts. The best part of this is that there is a new mascot. It's a space ox. It's an ox that has an axe that is ready to go to space, and that's the best thing I've ever seen. It's so good. It's unbelievable. We already have our college basketball team of choice, obviously. That would be Utagurv, but if for whatever reason you do not want to root for Utagurv, which I can't think of a good reason to not root for them, but Northern Arizona might be your team. That is amazing. So do look up that one if you haven't seen it already. I'll go ahead and retweet this from the Fifth and Goal accounts right now. Matt Brown, thank you for posting this. That has just been retweeted. Go find us at Fifth Goal Sports to find that. Yeah. So straight out of jail free Northern Arizona. I've also got one more straight to jail, which I don't think we're actually going to get into.
Let's go. I love when we can load up all the straight to jails when Johnny's not here.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's our favorite.
Right. Well, and because we're arbitrary and capricious, it is possible that these people get put in jail again next week, even if they're already there. They're as we've discussed, as the lore has kind of come out about all the jail things that we do. There are inner rooms, like there are levels to the jail. It can get worse. Mm-hmm. So I am throwing anyone in jail who wants to expand the NCAA tournament. There are people out there. Most where this differs from college football, I would say college football fans were maybe 50-50 split in terms of who wanted to expand from 4 to whatever the number. I think the number for college basketball expansion is much, much less. However, there are people like Seth Davis who are prominent in the college basketball circles that are like, yeah, let's expand this to 78 because of some stupid reason. There is no good reason to expand the college basketball tournament outside of money. I disagreed with it. At least people were making arguments of why college football playoff expansion needed to happen. There is just absolutely no reason why this needs to happen. 68 is perfect. Frankly, I think we could probably even switch maybe the format where different teams. Basically, John Rothstein's got this thing figured out. He's a huge proponent of not expanding. And he's a college basketball sicko. He's great. So listen to what he's saying. Will this happen eventually? It sounds like maybe it will, just based on the number of talks that are happening about this. But just preemptively, jail for that.
Oh, yes. Because the argument was, there are certain teams that might deserve to get in because they're getting hot late. Most of the teams that are like at that like 50 and below, and this is a real big plug for like Johnny, following Johnny's bracketology. It was the last thing he gave us before he died. We have teams that are under 500 in conference play, that if they set themselves well in their conference tournaments, they might be at 500 and they'll still get in. That's about as low as you want. We talk about this with bowl games too. That threshold is there for a reason.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, if it does end up happening, it's not going to make a better product. You saw yourself. You were at one of those playing games last.
Yeah, I was at all 4. Yep.
Yeah. You saw some of that.
Yeah.
Great play.
Yeah, I'm so glad Virginia was invited to the Field of 68. Thanks, Virginia.
Thanks. What if we had 10 more Virginias?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's called North Carolina this year. No, thank you. Tragedy that Indiana State wasn't invited. And in situations like that, the answer is not to expand. The answer is just don't invite Virginia to the tournament.
Yeah.
It's that simple. But anyways.
Be not dumb.
Yeah. Speaking of the tournament, Johnny is dead. However, he did deliver some post-mortem bracketology. He's that dedicated. So top seeds, actually no movement here other than just kind of a change of order, but we've still got Auburn, Houston, Duke, and Alabama 1 through 4 in terms of the top seeds. So there's your 1 seeds. The only difference is Duke and Houston swapped places. Auburn and Alabama remain in the same place. Auburn gets the big win, the number 1 versus number 2 game in Alabama. High-scoring game. Auburn puts up 90+ to win that contest. There will be a rematch in just a handful of weeks, so stay tuned for that. But the top seeds have stayed the same. Some movement on the bubble, as you might expect. Drake has moved in a positive direction. They are in Johnny's next 4 in, as are San Diego State, Ohio State with that aforementioned loss to Michigan, West Virginia. The last 4 in, Texas, UC San Diego, Georgia, and Arkansas. So you've got 3 SEC teams in the last 4 in. That's notable because right now there are 13 SEC teams projected in the field. And if that seems like a lot, it is, but that's also pretty darn deserving. That conference is ridiculous right now. The first 4 out, Cincinnati and Xavier, both on the outside looking in. Wake Forest, Boise State next 4 out, VCU, SMU. Josh, we got to get those Mustangs to pony up. Oklahoma and North Carolina. Notice, folks, where Johnny has North Carolina. He has them the next 4 out. They are not in the tournament, as some experts would like you to believe. That's just nonsense. Worth noting, North Carolina is an ACC school, as is SMU. Still trying to make that make sense. Both are out of the field as of right now, according to Johnny. There's only 3 ACC teams in their projected field. That conference has been the best in college basketball recently, but they are really struggling as a whole. One other note that Johnny had is to watch out for potential bid-stealing conferences. So what does he mean by that? Well, he means like some of the team names I just listed. Drake, UC San Diego, VCU. Some of these conferences that they are in would only get 1 team into the tournament in some other years. However, teams like Drake and Bradley and UC San Diego and UC Irvine and VCU and George Mason are good enough that they may end up in the tournament by themselves, even if they don't win their conference tournament. So if that happens, if, say, like a UC San Diego, who Johnny has as his last 4 in team, makes it to the championship of the Big West but loses, it's possible that the Toreros still get in the tournament, which bumps out a team like a North Carolina or like an Oklahoma. So that's something to watch as we go. That'll be something that Johnny updates throughout the last final 2-3 weeks of the regular season. We are quickly approaching March. In fact, we are basically 2 weeks away from conference championship time, which is one of our favorites. There are brackets on the way. We make brackets for every single college basketball tournament in Division I. On the men's side, that's happening again, so stay tuned to our social media, to our website, if you are excited for that, because I sure am. 300 games played in the span of 2 weeks with all these conferences. It's great fun. There are some stupid bracket formats. We'll get into that as we get closer to March. But anyways, that's the bracketology for this week. And Johnny, thanks for that, even though dead.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
To me, North Florida is either losing their first game against Austin Peay by 1 billion, or they're winning the Atlantic Sun and making a Sweet 16 run, and there's no in between.
There's no in between.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
All right, well, I was about to say we're bad at picking. We are, but there has not been any movement to our current scoreboard because we picked the Four Nations face-off last week, and it is still ongoing. In fact, the United States plays Sweden in about an hour. Unfortunately, Josh, your trip to IKEA, I went to IKEA today, actually. Unfortunately, our collective trips to IKEA have not helped Sweden get to where they need to be.
It doesn't transfer like I thought it did. I have to go back through and see like IKEA's structure and see how much they actually donate to their national hockey team.
Right. Yeah, so Sweden...
I'm starting to suspect it may not be as much as the 35% I assumed.
Yeah, that's correct. Sweden did not... Let's see, they lost in overtime to both Finland and Canada, and because Canada did win in regulation against Finland today, Sweden's eliminated. So we'll see. Like the United States is holding back a couple of their better players halfway for injury and halfway just because the U.S. and Canada, it's clinched. Yeah, right. Nothing happened. U.S. Canada played a perfectly normal game. Yeah, right.
Nobody booed anything.
Yep.
Nothing happened 3 times in 9 seconds.
Right.
Oh.
It's been fun, man.
It was fun.
NHL stick taps to you because this format has been unbelievable. You have and I appreciate that. Josh, it's what you said, right? It's apples to oranges a little bit in terms of all-star formats because hockey players are just insane, right? You just you put the puck in front of them and they're willing to just run over people and just kill themselves trying to, we love that. That's why the Stanley Cup playoffs are so incredibly good. In my opinion, it's the best postseason in sports. It's the hardest trophy to win just because of how physical it is. You hear reports of guys saying this is the fastest hockey they've ever played. It's the most fun they've ever had playing. And you can see it. I mean, that Canada-United States game, the hits, the pageantry, you obviously had, some conflict on not just on the ice that kind of impacted things. The United States winning that game 3-1. We are getting a rematch on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is the championship game. So either Johnny is getting a point for picking the U.S., which I hope is the case, or I will get a point for picking Canada. So we'll see. I will say, I know the United States won. They won 3-1, 3 straight against Canada. Where the difference may come in this game, in this rematch, is goaltending. And I like the U.S.'s goaltending better. It's Jake Ottinger, Dallas Stars goaltender, who is really done very, very well for the United States. You got Jordan Bennington from St. Louis, who is won twice, but a little bit shaky. I mean, Canada's given up 3 goals in each of their first 3 games. I don't know if you could do that again and win against the United States. So we'll see. In this game, notably in Boston, the previous matchup was in Montreal. So that's where we are with the 4 nations. But what a format. This has been a huge success for the NHL. So hats off to you guys as we prepare for the Winter Olympics next year. But Josh, this is the first time we've had international hockey of this scale in a decade because the NHL players weren't playing in the Olympics. And it's so part of that is what you said, some conflict, but those 3 fights in 9 seconds, part of that was just hey, it's been a decade.
We got some things to settle real quick.
Yeah. So I love it. Absolutely home run by the NHL. Good. So good. And that is part of the discussion with the NBA All-Star format because you look across the aisle and you see the NHL just with one of the best products just ever. So hats off to you guys. All right, this week we are picking the TGL. That is this indoor golf league. Josh, have you seen any of the highlights coming from this? The technology is wild here.
No, I've not. The first time I saw it was when you put it as the pick.
Okay. Well, that may be true for some of our listeners too, so let me just quickly describe what's going on. So you may have seen clips on social media, but it is basically an indoor golf league that Tiger Woods and I believe Rory McIlroy helped start. But it's wild. The technology at play here is insane. So it's a giant golf simulator, a humongous screen. So you get, your tee off, you hit your drive, and it shows you where on the screen, you hit the ball. It's all the technology, all that stuff. Eventually, when you get to the green, when you hit the ball on the green, you then walk to a giant green, which there's a marker that appears on the green, which shows where your ball should go. So players are putting on this physical green. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, hey, typically golf is an 18-hole event. How are you just putting on the same green over and over? Yes, but no. Because the technology of this green, they have motorized things underneath it. So they will change the green so it has different slopes and there's actual bunkers that you have to play out of. So the technology is really fascinating, as is the way this is set up. So there are 6 teams competing. The Atlanta Drive, the Boston Common Golf, Jupiter Links Golf Club, Los Angeles Golf Club, New York Golf Club, and the Bay Golf Club. So all of these teams are matching up head-to-head. So, for example, the Bay Golf Club and Atlanta Drive met today. Both teams were undefeated. The Bay Golf Club, comprised of Minwoo Lee, Wyndham Clark, Ludwig Oberg, and Shane Lowry, got the win. So we're going to pick this in Picks of the Week. Fascinating thing happening. Wow, kind of stuff is happening. Like Oberg just won the Genesis Invitational on Sunday. So that is partly why I'm going to pick the Bay Golf Club to take down Boston Common Golf. I also just like their logo and color scheme. So that's another reason that I'm picking the Bay. Johnny from the Grave said that he is also picking Bay. Josh, what about you?
I was processing, thinking, reflecting at the coffee shop today. If I had to stereotype based on my vast knowledge of golf, as you know I have.
Yep.
Am I going to play golf more easily on the mountains that are over in California? Or am I going to play golf more easily on the mountains near Boston? Which is, of course, the most scientific way I could determine who's producing better golfers. And I really didn't want to have to hike all of the like steep peaks that are over in like the West Coast. So I'm going Boston.
Okay.
Because it seems like it would be easier to golf there. Thereby, you can get more play time in. Therefore, better golfer.
Yeah. I'm sure Boston
That's
is
my
just
guess.
balmy right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the season for it.
Yeah.
Just a perfect amount of whatever Boston has this time of year.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
Yep.
Well, your
Love
team, Josh, has Keegan Bradley. Rory's actually on this team. Hideki Matsuyama and Adam Scott. So, by the way, all this
All
is on
classic
ESPN.
Bostonians.
So I'm trying to find the schedule right now to see what's upcoming. But like, it's televised, which is, I mean, good on ESPN, I guess. For like, and I have not watched a match. I have seen some highlights. Like, it is very interesting. And I am not even entirely sure what the breakdown of this is. Actually, I think what we picked is literally happening right now. Okay, well, maybe I will watch a little bit of this. So this is happening right now, apparently, on ESPN2. The next thing, there are events on Tuesday, 7 p.m. on ESPN, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. So interesting. But what I am, and by the way, where they're playing at is like a specially designed arena for this. So there's fans there. It's a really, really interesting thing. So I don't know if this becomes super big. I honestly don't know how golf people feel about it because, as we have mentioned, the three of us are not golf people, but I'm at least intrigued by the idea, and the technology is pretty wild. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So that's what I have. Picks of the week. We will have some points actually on the score. Well, unless we all pick everything wrong, but we haven't because we know the USA or Canada will win the Four Nations. So there will be points added to our scoreboard. Again, our scoreboard is Josh with 5, Johnny and I with 4. Best of luck to you and to the Boston Drive and everyone. Golf. Yay.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
You get like 10 extra points per sport if you also fire a rifle at a target. Like for any and every
Just any sport.
And you get points.
LeBron
And
for
that- and
3
that's-
and then pulls out a rifle and shoots a target.
Yeah.
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
It is what we're following. Yeah. Josh, college baseball's back. We've got spring training coming up this week. But you love college baseball. I mean, you just love it. It's great. But what college baseball does is it kind of breaks your brain in terms of what you would consider to be a normal result. For example,
Oh, yes.
Rhode Island, the Rams, and the William and Mary Tribe played a perfectly normal baseball game with a score
Here's the
of
thing.
36-22.
I saw that score and I misread baseball as basketball.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, that's a pretty low scoring. But not unheard of. My goodness. I love that was a baseball game. I would go to that. Listen, probably not good for the sport as a whole if that became normative. I would go to that baseball game all day if I knew it was going to be a track.
Yeah, how
meet.
long was that baseball game? I'll look that up when you're doing your what you're following, Josh. I'll look that up and see how long it took to score 58 runs. The answer is yes. I think pretty sure.
Yes. Is that a lot of pitchers, or is that like?
Oh, good question.
I'm rotating. How many pitchers am I How many pitchers are you rotating out?
Yeah.
If your pitcher,
Oof.
any of your pitchers,
Yeah. That's 4 runs an inning if you're
4 runs
William
an
and
inning.
Mary allowing. Yeah. I'll look that up too. We'll do some research here that I probably could have done before the show, but you know how it goes around here.
That's boring.
There's another thing that we have to address when it comes to college baseball. And during college football season, we talk about the worst list. It's a list that Johnny prepares diligently, really from, I don't know, like week 5 or so. And he illustrates the worst teams in college football. And it's not done to like, oh, you guys stink, figure it out. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry you guys are having a bad season. Collectively, as college football fans, let's come around these teams. Let's help them. Let's root for them to win games because they're on the worst list. And boy, do we have a story like that in college baseball. It's with deep regret that I have to inform our audience that the Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks, after an 0-4 start to this year against the VMI Keydets, have now lost 54 games in a row. 54 games in a row. They have allowed double-digit runs in each of their first 4 games this year. So you talk about pitching. If you can pitch at all, Maryland Eastern Shore probably wants you. Hawks, I believe in you. We can do this.
Joke, and it went in a slightly straight line, faster than you expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead and get that Amtrak going east, and
yeah. So Hawks, we believe in you. You can do it. I don't want to like make this a recurring segment because if this losing streak like keeps going on for a long, long time, it's just going to get even more depressing. But when they do win a game, we will celebrate accordingly. How about that?
Yes, it's one thing to like poke fun with like the Pistons or something because all those players are making money. The organization is still making money. I think the only ones who lost money in that deal, no, even Wingstop made money because they didn't have to give out any wins.
True.
So I think
just the fans who had to go to counseling.
Just the fans who had to go to counseling.
Yep.
The counselors are making money. The therapists are making money. So I think net win. When it's just a college, like we both went to the same college. So we both went to college.
Same room, actually.
That is, we are deeply aware that sometimes small colleges just sometimes you don't get the funding.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't get the play. It happens.
Yeah.
And so we would not be mocking because there's no way we could justify mocking a college baseball team for being bad.
Yeah, and this is not even a thing where I'm like, oh well, they should let me try. I'll help them. No, I know my limitations very, very well on baseball.
Oh yes.
So I love it a lot, but I'm not helping. So I'm not going to make fun. But Maryland Eastern Shore,
I'll try a
we
fielding
believe in you.
position. I'll try that.
Speaking of terrible college teams, now there is one exception, Josh, and we've talked about this. There is a great exception with the Green Bay Phoenix basketball team because they were dum-dums and they hired Doug Gottlieb. Unfortunately, Green Bay got a victory, and they did it against Wright State, which is right close to Johnny and I.
Oh, no.
So
Wright State?
It was at Green Bay, so that's
good.
Slight saving grace.
I was about to fly up to the Nutter Center and burn it down in your honor if that was the case, if they let that slide.
I mean, Wright State had to turn off the comments on their final post, which I would say, shame on you, Wright State. Like, you just,
own it.
You lost that game, you got to own it. You got to deal with it.
I need to post my picture of Doug Gottlieb with laser eyes real quick, please.
Right, exactly.
Now I can retweet it.
Now, don't let the fact that Green Bay actually won a game, their first in the Horizon League, don't let that distract you from the fact that this team is bad. And most of all, the administration that put Doug Gottlieb in place is horrible. But it gets even more interesting because if you were asking yourself, well, gosh, they should just fire him and just try to make like a year mistake, whatever, kind of reset the table next year. Well, there's a reason why they probably won't. Because if Green Bay terminates Doug Gottlieb's contract without cause, which would be if he was just fired for being a bad basketball coach, that's actually legally, that's without cause. He would be owed twice the remaining base salary at the date of his termination. So right now, that figure works out to $2.3 million. Now, that number may not sound a lot when the likes of Jimbo Fisher, what was his number? Like 60 million or something to go away? I can't remember
yeah.
exactly what it was, but something like that.
It was in that range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ludicrous. By every standard.
Yes. Right. So 2.3 million, like, all right, fine. Like you can figure that out. Well, the problem is that the dollar figure that Green Bay generated in revenue last year was 2.02 million. So you would basically be paying him more than what your entire team makes in a year. And that's not even talking about like the expenses you already have as a basketball team, like travel and do any number of things. So all that being said, he's probably not going to get fired this year. In case you were wondering. He's bad.
Well, that's the thing.
But
yeah. Good for us because we will continue to talk about it.
Yeah, true. Content for us.
Because I think we will all continue to be podcasters. And we will also continue to not be college basketball coaches.
True. Yep.
And I think that is a pretty cool consistency that we get to share.
Yeah, I agree.
Aaron, I love that you used my rifle
Okay, yeah.
analogy for what we're following.
Mm-hmm.
As like the little bumper.
Yep.
Because I'll figure out something different to do for the intro, but it's the first episode of Chess Heads.
Woo!
This season in this calendar year. For those of you unfamiliar, welcome to Chess Heads, a podcast within a podcast showcasing the latest and greatest in all of the sport adjacent activities that people find themselves getting into. Aaron, I have found myself getting into MMA.
Okay.
UFC, I'm not doing the pay-per-view stuff on that, but I did enjoy watching a lot of the One Championship. They're out of the Philippines, I believe.
Okay.
A lot of fun. The MMA stuff, I found it actually super fascinating. But I was a little disappointed when I started watching it. I just wished that if you're unfamiliar with MMA, it's pretty much just you wearing, honestly, a lot of times not even gloves. You're just, fighting a guy. And I just wanted there to be more. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what more meant. I just knew I needed more instinctually. And I found it because there is a group out of Nashville, Tennessee who agrees with me. And I would love to introduce to you the AMMA. And that is, in fact, the Armored Mixed Martial Arts.
No.
Let me show you medieval cage fighting. It is the same size ring as like a standard UFC like ring, except the fighters, still two fighters. So you're still picturing things correctly. And then imagine just full medieval armor. And I'm including a longsword and a shield. It is gorgeous. They have a few events. They go on tour, which is nice for us. And it is genuinely everything you're just imagining in your head. Yes, you nailed it. That mental image. It is guys in a ring. It's medieval times, but real. Even realer, sorry. Medieval times is very real. Don't correct me on that. Medieval times is incredibly real, and AMMA is even more real. They even have like a get started page if you want to learn how to start fighting.
Okay.
With medieval weapons. They have a beautiful 20-page. Right?
Like I'm pulling up pictures, and you're right. Your imagination does you exactly correct on what this is.
It is beautiful. It's exactly like, you ever watch Shrek, and it's like Shrek battling all those like guards. Just take Shrek out of the occasion, and boom, there it is.
No, I haven't been this disappointed as in Shrek 2. That is such a shame.
There's so few cases where I could play that sound, so you got to take advantage.
No, that's gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. They have exhibition fighting, 3 60-second rounds, 60-second rest periods, no sudden death, okay? It's not that medieval.
That's good.
Don't get it twisted. It's not that medieval. No weight class requirements. I think that is the most beautiful thing. We're not going welterweight, featherweights.
Right.
It is simply, you got a sword.
Yeah, I mean, worried about your weight, just wear more armor, you know?
Wear more armor, duh.
Now, does it say how you win? Because I'm looking at these pictures and, like, I realized back in the day, like, medieval fighting, like, there were winners and losers, right? But, like...
you're correct. It was a little bit more clear back in the day.
Right. I'm looking at this, like, is it the first person, like, find a way to, like, fit the sword through the dude's, like, eye, like, helmet socket, you know what I mean? Like, how...
Oh, yes.
How is one winning this?
There are, and thank you for asking, there are, in fact, 4 judges who are stationed at different parts of the ring.
Okay.
That way everybody can see everything. Now, they will judge like you might judge an MMA fight. Quality of hits.
Okay.
Are your punches landing? In this case, sword connecting to something more than just a shield. And now there are things like you can't just do anything, okay? We're not that medieval, all right? It's still 2025. Come on, grow up. They'll have stoppages. They'll have knockouts. Those are things.
Okay.
You can't attack the neck and throat area. You can't
Makes sense.
have targeting repeated
you have a
shots
sword.
like the back of the knee, the groin.
Okay.
No foot stomps.
Yeah, sure.
No repeated targeting kidney shots. No spine like the standard things.
Right.
No repeated shots to the armpit.
Oh, okay. Is that because the chainmail doesn't cover
maybe
that
the
spot?
chainmail doesn't? Yeah, that mithril armor doesn't really cover that apparently.
Okay.
Maybe it's, I don't know. It's kind of soft. I don't know. You ever think about your armpit?
Not until right now.
Not until right now. So really does just make you think.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at a picture of like a guy like raising his arm, like the judge raising this dude's arm because he's the winner. I mean, there's no padding on that armpit at all. I assume that they just read the history books and just read stories about people getting their armpits like pierced, and they decided, we got to make a rule about this.
Every like decade, they'll dig up a guy in like Scotland,
right?
And it'll be like, oh, this guy suffered 28 individual stabs to the chest and or head area. We think that's how he died. Yeah, I would think that.
Probably.
So they're going, maybe not there. You can't disarm.
Oh.
Which again, I would hope.
Yeah.
You can disarm someone.
Right.
That's what I can do in every single video game. So I would hope I could do it too here.
Yeah, good point.
Now,
Johnny's not here to offer his thoughts, but what I'm looking at, it seems like the sword is the weapon of choice for probably 95% of people. However,
yes.
I could see a world which Johnny is just like trying to shoot at them with a bow and arrow from distance, just trying to run around.
Yes, it seems like mostly melee weapons. I'm going to look through.
He would try to break the system, and he'd basically be like the 3-point shooter of this, and just try to bow and arrow his way to victory. And honestly, he might be successful, but
looks like there are 4 weapon categories.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And so we can talk about the sword. No D-guard. The crossguard can only have... Okay, this is dimensions. It doesn't matter. So we have sword.
Yep.
We have the one-handed mace/axe.
Oh, that's kind of baller.
Right? That one can only weigh... Oh, here. We'll talk about weights. That'll help.
Okay.
As this is something that is medieval, as you would hope, we are using the metric system. So the weight of the sword for men must be between 1.4 and 1.5 kilograms. And the weight of the sword for women must be 1.3 to 1.4 kilograms. Do the conversion in your head, because I'm not doing it for you.
Yep.
The one-handed mace needs to be between 800 and 1200 grams. Then you have a two-handed axe that can weigh about the same as the sword. And then two-handed broadsword. That can weigh up to 2.5 kilograms. I don't know what that is. That feels like, what, 8 pounds?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Incredible. And you get you can have two types of shields, a punch shield.
Okay.
Right? And a buckler. Everyone's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to look those up, but those are the two. If you know, you know. And if you don't, all right. So at the end of the day, what I really wanted to say, Aaron, is that there are multiple places for you if you're interested in this sort of thing to either participate or just go and watch. So
Okay.
if you want to look at an armored combat group and like just start learning, there are a few in the Midwest. Let me see if there's one. There's one in Columbus, one in Cincinnati. So you can go to either one of those, probably the Cincinnati one.
Great.
There's one in Dallas, of course. How close is this to me in Dallas? Yeah, the Warlord Combat Academy I can hit in Dallas. Aaron, for you and Johnny, I'll recommend the Cincy one. And it's the Cincinnati Barbarians.
Oh,
duh, because of
nice.
course it is.
Nice.
Now, if you don't want to fight and you just want to watch real quick and see what's going on, their next one coming up is March 15th in Nashville. They'll be in Chicago in April. Will you be in Chicago in April?
I can be for research purposes. Yes.
Awesome. Now there's one in Phoenix in May. Don't worry, I'll take that one.
Great.
But Aaron and Johnny specifically, if Johnny's ever not dead, no, I don't. There's a reason I'm talking about this when he's dead. He cannot know about this.
No, because he will do this and then actually die. Yeah.
June 7th, rather. June 7th is the AMMA semifinal, and it's in Canton. It's at the Pro Football
No
Hall.
way. That's crazy.
So, if you want,
wow.
It is highlighted. How much is it?
Doesn't matter.
I'm join
We're there.
The wait list. Don't worry, I'm joining the wait list.
Oh, thank goodness.
All right. Using the podcast email. Yes, accept and continue.
Accept all
everything.
cookies.
I want every single cookie. Thank you. All right, signed up for the wait list.
Beautiful.
At the Hall of Fame Village. Yeah, beautiful. So as soon as those tickets go live, that could be a good season. That could be a good season 3 prize.
Yeah.
It's either that or this thing I found on the TikTok shop, and it's this misshapen star. It's about, I don't know, the size of like a lamp or something. It's a misshapen like star that's getting melted.
Okay.
And it says "Yor did it." YOUR did it. I thought that'd be a good prize.
That's so good. I'm giving that to all the people that say "are" when you should say "is." That's what I'm giving to all of you. Yeah. That's my Josh. I know you're the action statement person, so I'm not trying to step on your toes here, but my action statement is to use correct grammar this week.
Yeah, please. I'll second that.
Yeah.
Know the correct use of your and their. It's not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Know your possessives from your plurals, other grammar things. Yeah. You know what? And I'll specify that. If you don't know much more than what which is me included, just get Grammarly.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Or go on Duolingo and just English.
Yeah, the bird's dying, so he actually needs help.
Do it for Duo.
Mm-hmm.
Rumor has it he got hit by a Cybertruck.
Didn't we all? All right. Well, yeah. Well, on that note, listeners, viewers, thanks for being here. We appreciate it as always. As much as we joked about Johnny, he's actually having a great time. He's in New Mexico. I get an alert on my watch that he's hiked like 1 billion miles every day. So excited to hear about his adventures. He'll be back next week to talk about all that. What we did not touch on this week purposefully, because the information is just coming out, and I do want the three of us to be here for this. there is a lot of conversation about college football playoff expansion that will happen potentially as soon as next year. And it's bad news, in my opinion. We'll break it all down. That's kind of a depressing way to end the show. So it's not like bad news like, oh, the world's ending. It's bad news in terms of like, if you grew up like with college football like the three of us did, this feels very much not like that. So we'll break all that down. The SEC, the Big Ten are kind of controlling everything. So that is at least one thing we'll be talking about next week. Obviously, college basketball, we're moving forward. By the time we talk next week, we'll actually maybe have a college tournament bracket set. I think, maybe not. We're getting darn close to it. So a lot more of that to come. Yeah. So listeners, viewers, as always, thank you for being here. We appreciate your support of this show. Hey, let your friends know about this show. It's free. You can watch it on YouTube. You can listen to wherever you listen to your podcasts. We say Spotify a lot. I actually looked at the numbers. There are more of you that listen on Apple Podcasts. So thank you for that. We're available there too. Yeah, so that's it for Josh and I. Josh, thanks for being here. Good to hang out with you today.
Nice
that's
to
it
be
for
alive.
us. Go, I don't know, go use right
Sign up
grammar.
for Grammarly Plus.
Use right grammar, because I think even that
Use right
sentence
grammar.
is incorrect. Because I think it should be use correct grammar. Use unwrong grammar.
Print out the transcript of this podcast and send it back with full markups.
Yes.
Red pen only. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, get out of here.